So I'm going to go ahead and go back in, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So I'm going to go wide like that. Pretty handy.
Today there's a big debate over how necessary standalone cameras are in a world where smartphones dominate digital photography, and while this debate has merit depending on the application, it'll be a long time before a device like the iPhone outright replaces my standalone camera, especially when it comes to video. My current camera is the Sony FX30, and I think that it's pound for pound the best value in digital videography. If anything, I think that smartphones can be incredible companion devices to standalone cameras, and camera manufacturers like Sony have been heavily leaning into this prospect as well. So instead of viewing smartphones like the iPhone as competitors to standalone cameras, Sony has welcomed smartphones with open arms by building out an incredible app called Monitor and Control. And with this app, you can not only monitor your feed from cameras like the FX30 or the FX3 or the A7S3 or the A7 IV and so on, but it also affords users with an insane amount of control. So in this video, I'm going to showcase my Sony FX30 camera rig with my iPhone 16 Pro playing the role of companion. Be sure to subscribe to 9to5Mac on YouTube for more. To start, I'll show you my full FX30/iPhone 16 combo rig. Here it is right here. It starts, of course, with the FX30, which is a Sony APS-C camera that's primarily targeted towards video shooters. It's a really good camera. Now, I also have the Sony 18-105 f4PZ lens. I use this 95% of the time, I'd say, and I love it because it has a power zoom that can actually be controlled directly from your iPhone. It's not the fastest lens in the kit, obviously, but it is probably the most versatile. And the thing I like about the FX30 is it has these built-in mounting points for a cage like this, the Tilta Full Camera Cage V2. Make sure you opt for the V2 version, it's highly improved. So we'll go ahead and attach the cage, and this is going to allow us to mount all the other pieces of this rig. As you can see, the cage actually screws directly into the body of the FX30, including the little top portion here, the NATO rail. We also have this Tilta 15mm dual base plate kit, and I use it primarily for the Arca Swiss connectivity, but it has the locations for the two 15mm rods, of course, with a bunch of quarter 20s on the bottom as well, but the Arca Swiss is the key here. So here's my two 6-inch small rig 15mm rods, super lightweight, low profile. There you go. So the next thing that I'm going to add is this handy nicely rigged base plate, which adds stability so your camera rig doesn't rock when you sit it down on the table, which is super nice. Then I have the Tilta PD V-mount battery plate that connects to the two 15mm rods, just like this, and that allows me to power my whole rig all day long using a V-mount battery. And I use the small rig VB50 low profile mini V-mount battery. This gives me pretty much all day shooting when connected to my FX30. It can power that thing all day. And now, because the cage has a built-in Arca Swiss, it slides directly into the base plate just like that. So a super low profile, flexible, I mean, you can add obviously many more accessories to this if you want to, but now let's talk about the iPhone 16 Pro. So I'm going to put this directly into the small rig mobile video cage just like this, and that's going to give me quarter 20 mounting points, various cold shoe mounts. Then I have this small rig swivel monitor mount right here. This just screws right into the bottom of the cage and slides right onto the NATO rail and locks into place. So there you go, folks. Now, to top it off, I have the Rode Wireless Pro, which is an amazing wireless microphone. I'm just going to slide this right on the cold shoe mount, right on the cage, and then connect it with the 3.5mm connection going into the microphone input. And there we go. So I personally love this setup, but here's the thing. The iPhone 16 makes for an amazing companion. Let me show you now. The iPhone 16 Pro has replaced my need for a dedicated HDMI monitor such as the Atomos Shinobi 2. When paired with the monitoring control app from Sony, the iPhone 16 Pro can function as a daylight viewable monitor for the Sony FX30. And unlike dedicated camera monitors, the iPhone 16 Pro has an internal battery with great battery life, so it will most likely last all day on a shoot. And for those times when you need to charge, you can do so via USB-C or wirelessly using MagSafe. The iPhone 16 Pro provides low latency monitoring when connected to the FX30 via USB-C. In addition to monitoring, you can use the iPhone 16 Pro to review footage as well, which is much better than reviewing footage on the FX30's small screen. But what about specific monitoring tools like waveforms, false color, etc.? Well, the monitoring control app has those and much more. There's even a feature called Focus Map that can make it easier to pull focus and make sure your subject is properly in focus. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There are other built-in tools like Gamma Display Assist when shooting log, histogram, zebra, safety zones, etc. If the iPhone 16 Pro functions solely as a wired monitor, it would be a great companion to the FX30. But that's just the beginning. The monitoring control app provides users with the ability to control virtually every aspect of the camera's functionality. You can easily stop-start recording and adjust parameters like iris, ISO, shutter speed and angle, frames per second, white balance, stabilization, and much more. I especially love the focus functionality that this setup provides. Via monitoring control, I'm able to switch between autofocus and manual focus, adjust focus area and face-eye priority, use focus tracking, tap to focus, and even adjust autofocus transition speed and shift sensitivity. That in and of itself is incredibly useful, but there's more. With monitoring control, you get real-time visualization of the focus distance, and you'll see it adjust as your subject moves about the focus area. But what's really cool is that you can use the focus bar to manually pull focus just like you can with the physical follow focus. You can even set stop points between two distances and wrap focus manually. It's insanely useful, and it's one of my favorite things about using the iPhone 16 Pro with my FX30. Now let's talk about my favorite lens. The great thing about the Sony E-mount ecosystem is that there is a virtually endless amount of lenses that can be used, from high-end full-frame G-Master lenses to budget and vintage lenses and everything in between. Full-frame cameras like the FX3 are great, but one of the main benefits of shooting with a Super 35 camera is that APS-C glass is much less expensive, and the FX30, being an APS-C camera, has a plethora of lens options. But the lens that stays on my camera 99% of the time is the Sony G18-105 f4PZ lens. It is not the fastest lens in the repertoire, true, but it's arguably one of the most versatile. The best thing about it is, of course, the zoom range, which spans 18mm to 105 at a constant f4 aperture. It's not going to give you a ton of smooth bokeh on the wide end, but it looks quite delicious at 70mm and above. Now, this lens features optical steady shot, which lets you comfortably shoot handheld even at the narrow end, and it features a good minimal focus distance between 1.48 and 3.12 feet and shines at around 70mm for those up-close detailed shots. But one of the biggest reasons that I love this lens is for its power zoom capability. That means that the lens zoom range can be adjusted manually via the barrel, via a rocker on the lens, or even via the zoom rocker on the FX30 body. But better yet, the power zoom functionality can be fully controlled via an iPhone running the monitoring control app, adding to the versatility of such a rig.
So this is going to afford you latency-free monitoring directly from your camera, which is great because oftentimes that's exactly what you want. You want to be able to see all the action frame by frame without missing anything. But that's not always practical because sometimes you want to actually move the monitor from the camera. Say you're just a solo shooter like me, you want to be able to actually see what you're monitoring and be able to control the camera remotely as well. And this can do all of that. Let me show you.
So here's really what makes the iPhone 16 Pro a ridiculously useful companion to the FX30. Everything that I mentioned up until now can also be performed wirelessly via a Wi-Fi/Bluetooth connection. You don't need anything extra. just the iPhone 16 Pro with the monitor and control app and the FX30. So I have my iPhone 16 Pro mounted inside a small rig cage for just this purpose. It allows me to quickly attach and detach the iPhone from my camera via a handy locking NATO connection that mounts on top of the tilt-a-cage. And such a setup allows the iPhone 16 Pro to swivel and tilt so that I can monitor behind the camera, above or below, and also do those side or selfie shots. But the real benefit of this cage setup is that it can quickly detach so that I can use this monitor and fully control the FX30 while away from the camera with no wires.
And it is definitely connected. So I'm going to go ahead and go back in, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So I'm going to go wide like that, pretty handy. So again, you're able to see this all in real time, just like that. Pretty neat. This is impressive. This is super handy if you're a solo shooter, being able to have a monitor that you can fully control your camera remotely and do everything you could as if you were right in front of the camera, right here from this iPhone right here. So that makes the iPhone 16, in my opinion, one of the, or any iPhone with USB-C for that matter, one of the perfect companions. But the fact that it's daylight viewable in bright sunlight, that there's a long battery life, that you have wireless and wired transmission, have full control, not only over the camera's operation, but also playback as well. I'm going to show you that here in just a second.
This wireless connection doesn't provide a tremendous amount of distance like a Teradek or something like that, but I was able to easily walk 100 feet away from the camera while outside, and as long as I maintain line of sight, the connection remained fairly stable. You'll notice some frame rate dip when monitoring wirelessly, but for establishing focus and for remote control, it works incredibly well. Having that wireless monitor control option like this is incredibly useful for solo video shooters like me, and it's been instrumental for my workflow both in the office and while shooting remotely. So what do you guys think? Do you think that the iPhone makes for an awesome standalone camera companion? Let me know down below. Also, if you're interested in building a similar rig, check the link down below in the description for all the details. This is Jeff Benjamin with 9to5Mac.